separating and getting a divorce. So I guess it's important to lay down the circumstances and the story for exactly what happened. I feel like I'm doing this a series in order, but they might be messed up, so I'll just tell the story in here anyway. So for my first baby, I was still in undergrad into my last semester. Found out my girlfriend at the time was pregnant. Got scared. Came from a conservative background. Decided to get married. Had the baby. A few years later, I guess didn't feel like the marriage was working, and um, I was the one who sort of initiated the separation. I got my baby here in the background. If you're hearing some cooing. Um, so yeah, it happened one night. I was playing soccer, came back, and had this huge, just a sudden realization over me that this marriage is not working, and I need to say something. Otherwise, I don't know, things might get out of control. Don't want to be stuck here for so long. So two things were very important to me. One was that from my daughter's perspective, she was maybe 2.5-ish at the time. Um, if she was ever in a relationship where she was not happy, I would want her to have the courage to walk away from the relationship and not stay because of other reasons outside of her own happiness, which I think is the number one thing in relationships. Sometimes people stay for the kids and it's important, and maybe that kind of thinking is changing. But even if you separate, you can still have a great relationship with your ex partner as long as you do things smoothly and a lot of things have to go in kind of order. And if you didn't mess something up completely. So anyway, I ended up because I was too chicken to actually say something, and by the time I came home, it was late. I sent her a text to my ex-wife and let her know that's what I was feeling, and we could talk about this in the morning. And so we had a conversation in the morning, and she was kind of on the same page. And this was right before COVID hit, and so we decided the best way to move forward was to separate and then eventually get a divorce. And now I guess I wanted things to be maybe 1 second. So anyway, I wanted things to be smooth because I've heard a lot of horror stories about people getting divorced, and there's fights about the kids and custodies, and also just not being adults, especially if it's not done properly. Okay, we might have to. Do you need to burp, sir? Excuse. All right. So anyway, that bit was important. I didn't want a lot of tension between me and my now ex-wife, and so that my daughter can see how the process is happening, how well we're handling it, and then we have an amicable relationship towards the end. Because I always wanted to be in my daughter's life, and so if I knew that if I messed something up with separating from her mom, it's going to eventually impact the relationship with my daughter. And so I got a lot of advice from a lot of people saying to lawyer up, protect the assets, this and that, blah, blah, blah. But I knew in my heart of hearts what was the best way forward. So I ended up offering something to my ex wife, which seemed amicable to her in terms of custody and splitting our house at the time. And we went to a mediator, talked things out. It was very civil. The mediator was agreed with what I was proposing. Um, it wasn't as calm of a time as now I'm making it sound, but because obviously there's a lot of tension. She's getting advice from somewhere, you're getting advice from somewhere. People are telling you to, fight, don't give any pennies, this and that. But my main thing was whatever money is going away to the mother of my daughter, and she's going to spend that money on her care, on her house, on her car, clothes, this, that, whatever. So um, I decided to do it that way, and to this date, her mother and I have a very amicable relationship. My daughter is very happy, and so I'm glad that I did it the way I did it. Um, Yeah, so this was pre-COVID. We separated, then I ended up moving to a different place in Guelph, and then the lockdown hit. And yeah, that was the story of the separation and the divorce. Um, After that, I wanted to focus on myself and my patterns. I wanted to be more aware the next time I pick a partner. It's not our circumstance. I realized when dating or getting into relationships, I had a habit of uh, falling in love very quickly, and I wanted to be very aware of that this time when I was in getting ready to date again. Obviously, it being COVID didn't help, so it took some time, um, and obviously the healing from the past relationship as well. Um, I'm sure my daughter, she felt it that mom and dad are not living together anymore, and she would ask those questions, and I would tell her in the most loving way possible that mom or dad weren't happy together. We are happy separate, and that is why we are separating. We both still love you very much. And I think she understood that. And maybe when she's a teenager and older, she'll ask those questions again, and we'll have that conversation again. It's not something I dread or I think I did something bad and I don't want to talk about it. I'll be very open with it to my daughter, and I hopefully have set a good example for her, and how I handle things, why I did things the way I wanted to do them. Um, yeah, so my pattern in relationships was doing a lot, um, and not asking for a lot in return. I learned that from my mother. She was my primary role model for relationships, so it was good for me to be aware of that. And so I started to um, be aware in my patterns when I was dating again, and eventually, um, found the woman that I love now, and she's my wife, woman of my dreams. Funny enough, she tells a story that where she the first time you met, she was immediately was like, "I'm gonna marry this guy," and I was very reserved, very um, took my time, and anyway, did eventually get end up getting married, and now we have this little cutie pie of our own. The first, our both of us, our first intentional baby. She had her daughter from her um, past, and now my daughter and well, both our daughters are very good friends. They're very close in age, and so they get along quite well. So that is the story of me separating and getting divorced. I know it's very unique how this happened, and not a lot of people have this ending. There's a lot of custody battles. People are resentful and hold things against each other. I know that from stories from from at least two of my friends who had divorces. And so feel free to share a happy separation slash divorce experience if you want to. Don't comment. I mean, you can comment on mine, but yeah, I'm glad if you're in maybe this information helps you out somehow. If it does, let me know. And if you want to share your own personal experience, do let me know. Peace. See you in the next one.